Hello and welcome to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes. Welcome to the show.
Here we are!
Yep, here we are. And we've been talking over the past several weeks now about prepping your home, getting it ready to sell.
Yep, getting it ready, coming up with the price, all that stuff. And now I think it's the big time. We're going on the market.
That's right.
What happens next?
Sign in the yard.
Sign in the yard.
Yes.
Which, that's a good point. That's
Yeah.
one of the things that happens once you've signed that listing contract. Sign will go in the yard.
Okay.
Now, some sellers don't want to sign. You'd be surprised, but there are occasionally folks, I don't want my neighbors to know I'm selling.
Really?
Now, in today's society,
Yeah.
with access to all the information that's out there
Yeah.
and instantaneous on the internet as soon as that hits the MLS, if we put it in the MLS, and some sellers don't want their homes in the MLS for that reason, privacy.
Okay.
Awful hard to sell if we can't expose it to people.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just tough to do. If you don't see people looking at it, how in the world are you ever going to sell?
Part of the marketing.
It's part of the marketing piece, exactly. But hey, it's your house until it's sold.
Yeah.
So if that's what a seller wants, that's what we'll do. But generally, 99% of the time, a sign's going in the yard. There'll be a lockbox or some way for agents to access the home.
Okay.
We get asked that question a lot. Hey, can I still get in my house with a lockbox on the door? Yes. Yes. The lockbox
Right.
does not impact your ability to get into the house.
Right.
There's different types of lock boxes. There's combination lock boxes. There's a central lock, which they use in Whitley and Fort Wayne, or in Whitley County and Allen counties. Wabash County uses central lock. I mean, we use a Supra iBox. They're all electronic type lock boxes. The difficulty there is if you have an agent who doesn't have access to that lockbox, then there's a procedure that happens in the background for agents to allow access.
Okay.
Up and around the lakes area, we see a lot of combination lock boxes. That's because we get agents from all over coming in to show property. So you'll have a lockbox on your front door. The agent, once you've signed the listing contract, is going to take some pictures for you too.
Okay.
Pictures are important.
They are.
They are not the end all. Believe me, price is much more important than the pictures. But if you've got lousy pictures, in all likelihood, you're going to get fewer showings. Now,
Right.
it doesn't mean it has to be, a big photographic shoot where somebody comes in and sets your house up and all of those things. But, make the bed,
All right.
pick up.
I am floored on some pictures I have seen where the bed's not made or there's just stuff everywhere. Just like take 10 minutes and, arrange or move some of that stuff out of the room.
Right, right.
I don't get it.
It makes a big difference. So when you're ready to list, your agent will talk you through those things. Be prepared when they do come to take the pictures to be prepared for pictures.
Yeah.
Because again, that is the first look that people are getting at your house are those pictures. So as soon as it hits the internet, everybody and their brother sees what's out there.
Right.
So, make sure it's picked up. Neat and clean is important. If it's trashed, that's the type of buyers you're going to get. If the lawn's not mowed, if you've got a foot high grass, is that a house that is appealing to you? We've talked about curb appeal in the past. Buyers will look at that and go, if they're not doing their lawn mowing, what aren't they doing other maintenance, in the house? So again, the nice shiny penny sells. We want to get our property in the best condition possible so that when those pictures come out, they're in good shape. So, we get the pictures, it hits the MLS, now what? We get our first showing request.
Okay.
And those showings, a lot of times nowadays, are all scheduled electronically. In our board, in our multiple listing service, any members of the Kosciuszko Board of Realtors, we have an app that's included that's called Showing Time, which we can communicate with sellers however you would like us to, whether it's text, voicemail, a phone call, automated phone call, or email. So you'll get a request for a showing tomorrow at 9 a.m.
Okay.
And you can confirm that request, yes or no. You can say, no, I'd rather have a different time. That won't work for me, which I don't necessarily recommend, but sometimes it doesn't work. And why don't I recommend that? Because buyers are able to see houses when they can see houses. They may not be able to adjust their schedule to come in and see your house. and they may find something else before they come look at your house.
Yeah.
If that's the case. So, you got to remember that. That's part of the getting ready for selling. Be prepared to have people request to see, your house at times that may not necessarily be convenient for you.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's still your house. I tell sellers that all the time. Hey, if you've got something going on, it's Johnny or Jill's, 5th birthday party, of course you're not going to have a showing during that time. But if that's the case, let me know in advance. We can restrict those showing times in showing time to where agents aren't requesting to see the property during that time frame.
Yeah, no,
so if you need to block some time out, let us know. Again, it's all about communication between the agent and the client so that we can make sure it's a smooth process for getting those showings scheduled.
All right, very good. And we're going to talk more about this coming up next. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate in Real Time. I'm your host, Woody Zimmerman, here with Mark Skibowski of RE/MAX Lakes. We're talking about showing your house and showing times, and I love this app that you can actually just schedule, and I would get like a text notification or however I want to be communicated.
Yeah, however you want it to happen. From a seller's perspective, we can set that up. I do have some sellers, they want a phone call, and I get that, and we can. Now, you got to remember, there's not people 24/7. So if an agent requests a showing, and they're working at 10 o'clock at night to schedule the next day, I'm in bed by the time. I am not waiting up saying, oh, maybe someone's going to call, and we can schedule a showing where I'm going to call you. But it's funny, at 8 o'clock the next morning, we can set the automated call to where they will get that call at 8 o'clock. As soon as it flips on in the morning, 8 o'clock, boom, it happens.
Yeah.
So, we want to communicate with the sellers, whatever method works for them. But, in that request, it'll show the time that they would like to show the property. The default scheduling time is 15 minutes. And, we've had that discussion before. It's tough to hit a 15-minute window if you're showing property from Syracuse to Claypool.
Yeah, right.
Drive time, all of that stuff. So what I tell sellers are assume that it's a 1 hour showing request.
Okay.
Assume 1 hour. And you want to leave a little bit before and come back a little bit after that. So figure about an hour and 10 minutes for every showing request. So if you get a showing request for 9 a.m., I suggest to my sellers, leave about 5 to 9 because they're probably going to show up at 9. And then don't come back until about 5 after 10 to give them time to show the property. Now,
can I jump in on that?
Sure.
It's not something, if you're selling your house, it's not really something you want to do to communicate with those people when they get to your house. If you actually don't leave before they get there, right?
It's better if you just go. You've hired an agent. Let us represent your property. Let our pictures. Let your property represent itself. The problem we run into is many times sellers want to be really helpful, and they're sharing more information than what they really should be. Hey, did you know we have to sell by XYZ date because my new job is taking place and I've got to be out of here? Now, buyers are drooling. Buyers agents at that time are drooling because what have we just done? By that seller, they're trying to help the process, being very helpful, but they're giving information away that we don't necessarily want the buyer to know. We are extremely motivated. We have to sell. We've just put ourselves in a negative position as far as negotiation goes. Now, granted, you don't have to accept any offer, but what's going on in the buyer's mind? Hey, this seller really wants to get out of here. I can throw something much lower at them. Maybe they'll accept that. Now, it doesn't, again, we're all adults. It's still negotiation. You don't have to accept anything. But you've set the table for that negotiation by giving that information away. Or, hey, did you know the neighbor next door plays his drums at 2 o'clock in the morning? That's something great to pass on to a potential buyer, right? It's a band, and they practice every Friday and Saturday night from 9 till 4 a.m.
It's great.
It's fantastic. It's a great neighborhood.
Yeah.
Those are things, and I'm not trying to hide it from a listing side, but it definitely, because it's in our purchase agreements, it says, the agent doesn't know anything about the neighborhood. If you're concerned, check it out. I'm not saying to hide, dismiss, whatever, but things happen in every neighborhood, right? I mean, there's parties. My neighbors, occasionally, when my kids are having a black bash, they're like, hey, this isn't the norm. The Skibowski family in bed at 10 o'clock. All of a sudden, why are we still up at midnight with things going on, right? That isn't the norm. But, it's a good idea for the seller to leave and not have any discussion with that buyer prior to the closing table. Because at the closing table, we're done. The house is purchased and away you go. Again, I'm not saying hide, situations. You've got a seller's disclosure that you're disclosing any issues with the house, with the property. Let the buyer figure out what the neighborhood is like, if that's a place that they want to be or not. That's not your job as a seller to sell that. Okay. So I have a good question. Yeah. Good question, because I get that a lot. I am probably the best salesperson. This is a seller's talking. I am the best salesperson for my house. Well, you know what? I sold a lakefront on Webster Lake that had been listed for a year. It had showings, and the seller was there for every single showing. And when I took the listing, I said, look, I really need you to be gone. Because they had shown it, they were there one of the times that I had shown it when it was listed. And he thought he was being helpful. He says, well, I know all the features of the house. I said, that's not what the buyers are necessarily looking for. They want to see, does the floor plan work for them? Does the location work for them? After that, we don't need to know anymore. We don't need to know that, Billy and Bobby grew up in this room. Because the seller's focused on what was important to the house for them.
Right.
Not what the buyer's needs are. So again, sellers, please, please, please leave the house. Let your agent do their job. Right. And there are occasionally sellers will request that they want their agent present for all showings. Now, again, that's a limitation that I typically don't accept from a listing side, because you're really on my schedule then. And if I'm busy doing other stuff and we get a request for showing, I hate to say, no, we can't show your house because I can't be there. There are sellers that do want their listing agent there present at all times. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a security issue or if it's just a control thing. I don't know why. But generally, I recommend let agents come in, have the house ready. We've prepped you through all of the discussion on the listing side. Buyers agents know what they're doing. They'll take care of it. Let them go in there with their client and try to sell the property.
Yeah, okay. All right, very good. Interesting. And clean.
Clean. HGTV clean. Absolutely, every time. Nice shiny penny sells.
Okay.
That's for every showing. So leave the house before every showing. Leave it nice and clean so that the buyer's first impression is good when they walk in the door.
Should you leave in this COVID-19 world, should you leave hand sanitizer?
It's not a bad idea. If you've got any concerns at all, pass that on to your agent. Leave hand sanitizer. If you're asking the buyer to have these things, then provide them for them. Don't assume buyers are driving around with booties in their car. They may have a mask, but they're probably not going to have booties in their car.
Okay, so if you're asking them to wear booties, then provide those
provide
booties.
them for them, absolutely.
Okay, all right, very good. Okay, hey, your contact information?
Sure, our website's lakes-realtors.com. Phone number's 574-834-1233. Can always email me at markskibowski@remax.net.
Okay, awesome. Very good. You've been listening to Real Estate in Real Time. Have yourself a wonderful weekend.